All right. Thank you so very much, Matt Meyer. I appreciate it. And Queen, my sister, how are you? And Aisha and everyone. And I know I was surely looking forward to hearing Jaleel Mutakim come on first, but okay, I'll go on and try to fill those shoes, and then he can go on and do some little cleanup, but behind me. But prepping for this session and prepping for what is going to be a phenomenal international tribunal in October. It's really a nostalgic throwback to history, to over 40 years ago when I was working very closely with Brother President Imari Abubakar Obadeli, the first popularly elected president of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa, and his crusade to as part of the New African Independence Movement to get our Black political prisoners and prisoners of war recognized, both internationally and domestically. And yes, international human rights always on the table for those who are seeking a Black nation, for those who are seeking land, for those who are seeking sovereignty, looking to international law as we are doing today. So, the issue of our political prisoners in the United States has never been mainstream. That's why we're here today. That's why we're going to have this international tribunal coming up in October, because this issue has never been part of the public discourse. It's never been seriously considered, except by the diehard, which are the folk on the screen and the folk who are in the audience right there. Where are all the law review articles on political prisoners in the United States? Where are the PhD dissertations? Where are the mock trials in law schools using our political prisoners as case studies? Where are the law school clinics focused directly on our heroines and heroes, our freedom fighters? Where is the elementary school curriculum? That's what this tribunal must result in. Domestic and international recognition that are not only that there are and have been political prisoners in the United States, but that the struggles that they were convicted of are legitimate. I was honored, as Matt said, to serve as the prosecutor. And, it took me a while to get my brain wrapped around being a prosecutor. I mean, even the trial that was just going on last week and this week, I had to correct my brain and say, defense bad here, prosecutor good here. But I was honored to serve as a prosecutor, delivering the opening statement on both the People's Tribunal for Mumia Abu-Jamal in 1997, as well as the People's Tribunal on the Hurricanes Katrina and Vida in 2007. And in the Katrina Tribunal, as part of my conclusion, I said, esteemed jurists, you have before you an awesome responsibility. Just as in 1954, when Mamie Till Mobley demanded an open casket for the world to see the image of her 14-year-old son, Emmett, savagely mutilated and dumped in the Mississippi Tallahatchie River, I said that this tribunal, then the Hurricane Katrina, and as well as this one that we're going to embark on in October, will likewise present an open casket for the world to see and hear the testimonies of human rights abuses. Open it up. Maybe Till Mobley screamed. She said, let the people see what they did to my boy. Okay? And her decision is what forced the nation and the world to face in shock, horror, and disbelief the horror of racism. So this tribunal, again, will likewise open up the voluminous body of evidence that has occurred and is occurring for the world to see and hold those who are responsible accountable. I stated at that tribunal that Dr. Martin Luther King once said that the ultimate test of a man, of a person, is not where he stands in moments of comfort or in moments of convenience, but where he stands in moments of challenge and moments of controversy. Yes, I see it. It may be challenging to some that we're using an international human rights frame through which to present domestic abuses. It may be controversial for some to hear mere whispers that crimes against humanity were perpetrated domestically or that the provisions of genocide could be applicable. But these are not comfortable or controversial or convenient times. Just as Mamie Till Mobley commanded, there is a time when we must open up the casket. There is a time when we must right the wrong. It is once again time for the world to see and to act. The time is now. Moments of national crisis also represent moments of opportunity. And just as I did in that Katrina Tribunal in 2007, in October, again, we will likewise ask this new set of international jurors to listen to all of the evidence and to return a verdict for justice rooted in international human rights law. And 10 years earlier than that, in 1997, I served as an attorney in the innovative historic mock proceeding in Philadelphia entitled the People's International Tribunal investigating the case of Mumia Abu-Jamal. And this proceeding included a well-known and respected international panel of jurors, political leaders, labor and community activists, cultural figures, and others concerned with social justice. And I ended that statement with a plea that there be a thoughtful, independent, and impartial judicial investigation into the FBI's counterintelligence program, a thorough, independent, and impartial judicial investigation into the actions of any official entity that had any role in relation to the 1985 Move headquarters bombing, the removal from office of all officials responsible for the deprivation of Mumia Abu-Jamal's human rights, and a request to the United Nations to call for reports on the case of Mumia Abu-Jamal from U.S. Special Rapporteurs. And I recently did a presentation for a forum called Community Under Siege, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, on the issue of reparations as a down payment for political prisoners, you know. And, you know, most people don't realize that the Japanese American Redress Bill not only called for $20,000 to every Japanese American detention camp survivor, fund to be used to educate Americans about the sufferings of the Japanese Americans, a formal apology from the United States government. But most folks don't realize that that reparations settlement also included a pardon for all those who resisted detention camp internment. There is precedent, a pardon for those who resisted. They have done it before, they can do it again. A pardon. We have political prisoners still languishing in prison. I'm not even going to go through the list of names. We have political prisoners who are in exile, who cannot return here. We have people who serve time unjustly, okay, but still are on parole. Their sentences need to be commuted. They need to receive a pardon. And, you know, the COINTELPRO talked about to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and otherwise neutralize the activities of Black nationalists, you know, leaders and their spokespersons and their membership and their supporters. And the FBI talked about neutralization, which is a term of war. And you might ask, well, what is this war? Well, it's none other than the war of genocide that the United States has been waging against our people. And I'm just going to conclude with the definition of genocide, which most folks don't really realize. When we talk about genocide for the Jewish people, no issue, no eyebrows raised. We talk about genocide for the Native peoples, no issue, no eyebrows raised. But when we talk about genocide for Black folk, first of all, folks just think you're being rhetorical. No one takes it seriously. But genocide is principle not only of international law, but is in United States law as well. The international definition as adopted by the United States is number one, killing members of a group. Number two, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of a group. Number three, deliberately inflicting upon the group conditions of life calculated to bring about their destruction in whole or in part. Number four, taking measures to prevent births within the group. Number five, transferring children from one group to another. And that definition goes on that says, genocide is not the only actionable act. Conspiracy to commit genocide. directing public incitement to commit genocide, intent to commit genocide, and complicity in its commission. And it goes on. It says those who are guilty of genocide shall be punished, regardless of whether they are constitutionally protected rulers, public officials, or private citizens. And those are the things that we're going to be bringing out in the International Tribunal for Political Prisoners in October. We're going to be talking about crimes against humanity. We're going to be talking about genocide. We're going to be talking about remedies and reparation. We're going to be talking about all of these things, and we're going to be putting it in the proper framework that needs to be put in for not only recognition, but for action as well. Thank you.
Very good.